Hey everyone, it's Rich here from Unibo, ready for another edition of trying to hack your marketplace SEO. I'm joined by Bella this morning, my dog, who has been pretty naughty this morning, so I'm trying to calm her down. Um, this edition is going to be about hacking your marketplace SEO using a great tool which I've recently learned a lot about, which is Webflow. This is no way promotional. This is just purely the fact that it's an awesome tool to use, and I would highly recommend anyone that's building a marketplace to deeply consider moving over onto it, purely because of just how powerful it is to create multiple landing pages, specifically like location pages, blog content. And as we know of SEO, content is kind of king. High quality content is obviously very, very important, but what's also super important is, in my opinion, just a lot of content. It's lots of relevant landing pages, and it's some sort of programmatic and systematic way in which you're producing your website. And I'm going to just basically highlight a couple of things which I think are awesome about Webflow, and I'm sure there'll be many times that we can like dig back into this. But first of all, what I really love about Webflow is if you go to your project, this is our main Unibo website, these are just some websites I'm playing around with. You go to the settings, they have like a whole section dedicated to SEO. And what they've tried to do is make very technical things as simple as like pressing a button, basically. And an example of that is the auto generation of the sitemap. Now, I didn't realize actually until like 2 or 3 months ago that every time I made changes on my website, I had to re-upload a sitemap to Google Search Console. And I was shocked because basically, like, you could be making changes on your website and you might not even actually know that that has had an impact for maybe several months even. And what's really powerful about Webflow is that you can make changes and it's automatically updating into Google. And, depending on how quickly Google kind of reads and learns about your website, you see like pretty much instantaneous results sometimes, like up to, a day or two that you can start saying, well, I made a landing page like 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm already seeing impressions on my searching console, which is a really powerful tool and something that I think is, understated. The other things that you can do is all of these kind of like technicalities, like canonical tags, and these are like little tools that they've added in to basically just technically make your SEO much easier. I won't go too much into that because I want to focus on other things. But if I just jump back to projects, I want to dive into the kind of back end of Unibo. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, creating location pages has been a strategy for us that's worked tremendously. And I want to actually show you exactly what that looks like. So as we know, obviously, like the whole world with COVID has been massively impacted the office design world. And I think I explained this before, is that we've managed to drive our organic SEO traffic up, literally by, I would say, so that let's just look at it was 946 impressions in June, and we got up to 341 impressions recently. So a significant uptick. And I personally don't think that the market has actually gone up. This is just basically the fact that we're now like almost casting a much wider net from SEO, purely based upon all of these location pages which I've been pumping out and some other technical tweaks. So as you can see, if I click on pages here and I sort by kind of impressions, you'll start to see that, I should do a clicks. So you'll see that, for example, our Los Angeles location page is now like our fifth top page, basically. And that's kind of consistent theme that I'm starting to see, like Houston office designs feeding in there, and some other ones kicking in as well. So we're seeing like a massive improvement for these location pages. And I want to show you exactly what it looks like on the back end. So this is our kind of cool website, and what I would recommend for anyone that's interested to actually dig into Webflow is actually something super, super easy, which I kind of realized recently, was that you can find clonable projects for you to dig around with and kind of test, basically. So if I just go to Showcase up here and I click clonable, and by the way, I think you can create a Webflow account for free, so you can like play around with these yourselves. Now, what's awesome is that the community have basically like given you access to their projects for you to copy and edit the text on it and do whatever you want with it, basically. But this is awesome because I've actually been at the beginning I was terrible at Webflow. I really had no idea what to do, and now I'm starting to like use these kind of templates and UI kits which the community are giving me to basically be able to make very quick landing pages, mobile friendly, and it's just a massive win. So for anyone that's nervous about moving over to Webflow, be assured that there's a ton and ton of stuff out there which you can just leverage and honestly create a website in like minutes, basically. Changing a few copy and having a really good looking website. For example, like look how awesome this one is. That could be like copied and pasted with your own copy in the space of like, a couple of hours, like, if you wanted to really work on it, which I think is awesome and something which I didn't even realize before kind of getting onto Webflow. But anyway, let's dive into specifically the location pages of Unibo to show you essentially how it's helped us. So there's this concept of CMS collections, and CMS collections are basically a way of creating unique content at scale, basically. So, for example, we wanted to create office designer city landing pages. So that means that, as an example, we wanted to have for every major city in the US a specific landing page that you could see, and I'll just show what one of those looks like. So here you have Tallahassee office interior designers. We've added in obviously like unique content throughout to make it stand out. We've added in an image of Tallahassee. We have interior design service in Tallahassee, but this is all a template, right? Like we've added in these keywords, but the rest of it is actually just a prefix template, which we wanted to have. If anyone landing on the website would say, "Oh, cool, this is like essentially a homepage for them," right? Like they wouldn't realize that this is like some particularly like special page for them necessarily. And here are some things I can talk about in a minute. So jumping back to this, how does that actually work? So I'm just going to actually try and create a new CMS collection for you to see exactly how it works. So let's just say test SEO collection. Now, the beauty of this is that you can basically add in as many custom fields as you want for that particular landing page that you're creating. So you could add in text, for example, Tallahassee is text. You could add in, where is it? You could add in images. So for example, you could upload on the back end a particular image. You can have in references, phones, emails, links, a bunch of different stuff. So here you can have, for example, city name. I'm going to show you how we can create over 100 pages in the space of like a couple of minutes. So let's just say city name, and let's just say keyword. Okay. So what I'm saying is, like, for my particular landing page that I'm now templating out, these are the two unique pieces of text that I want to be able to add in kind of like at scale, kind of like through a spreadsheet almost. If I just save that and create a collection, perfect. So now you have test SEO and you can see there's nothing here. Now you see there's an export and import function. So that means that basically I'm able to add hundreds and hundreds of landing pages through an export function, an import function, sorry, which is hugely powerful. Now, before I do that, I just want to jump back and click on the page icon here. And this is where you can actually create unique pages. So the pages up here are static. Those are the ones that live on the website forever, and there's no unique CMS content to them. And these are the collection pages that we've created. So if I just basically click on this one here, which is test SEO thing, what I'll do is I'll jump to our office designer city page. I'm going to quickly just copy over, let's just copy this, jump back to this, and don't worry, this is looking too technical. Sorry, what's going on here? So I'm going to try and copy across. some content just to show you how this works. No, that doesn't work. Anyway, I'll just add some containers. I'll figure out that afterwards. Section, add in some headings. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my headings or text in here. You can click this icon and then you say where you want to get the text from. So you can add in the city name as an example, and then here you can add in the keyword as an example. Now it's all hidden because there's nothing in the background. I'm just going to basically now upload the actual CMS pages. So let me click on Test SEO Collections, go to Export, and this is going to give me now kind of like a template that I can fill out. Perfect. So now you'll see that it's kind of giving me all this information where I can add in. So I'm going to get rid of all the stuff which I don't actually need. I'm just going to keep this. I'm now going to get some pre-made keywords and stuff, which is here. And okay, perfect. Now let's just say the keyword is interior designer for all of these. Let's just say we want to create a lot more. Perfect. I'm now going to save this down as a CSV file. Excellent. And I'm going to import it. So now what it's going to show you is basically the mapping of the different fields. So whatever's in the spreadsheet, you can map to basically those CMS fields, etc., which I've created. And now I'm importing 144 landing pages, basically. And you can see that this is really powerful when you think about, depending on your marketplace, you might have particular keywords that you really want to get after in different cities. For us, it's perfect as a service marketplace because if you think about, an interior design firm, you could have a presence in every city. You want every single city, town, and suburb to basically to see that. So for us, this has been like a massive hack and unlock. So now if I just go to a particular CMS page, you'll see that it's got the name, the slug, the custom fields, the city, etc. And now I just go back to the page that I created, which was the SEO Collections template. And at the top here, you can actually specify a particular page. So you'll see like Austin, Boston, etc. And obviously I couldn't show you fully what this meant because it wasn't working, but I'll show you just jumping back to our template. Here, you'll see that the text here is coming from Office Interior Designers. There's also a way of embedding particular text icons into your text, so it looks like it flows very naturally. And again, that's all coming from pre-existing information. One thing which has been a really cool thing for us is adding in this map feature. So you're able to add in an embed essentially of your Google Maps and then specify within the actual map code the address. So you can add in specific fields here, which feed in from your CMS collections as well. And the point here is that you can create incredibly powerful pages pretty quickly. And again, I think using the templates from the showcase in Webflow, it gives you the ability to create amazing looking web pages very quickly with that kind of like custom element. I wanted to also jump onto AutoGuru to kind of conclude the video because I had a great chat during the week with the kind of SEO expert who worked with AutoGuru about the location pages. And what his advice was is that you should start off almost like with the state. So in their case, they're working in Australia, but in my case, it would be like interior designers in California. And then you would have essentially a landing page for that particular keyword. Then a couple of things which he highlighted, which were very cool, which we're going to definitely look to implement, is on the left-hand side of the page, there are all these kind of like long tail keywords which they're going after as well. So you're making sure that you're not just going after the one keyword like office interior designer, but you're going after all of the long tail keywords associated with that on each landing page as well. So it's like double clicking onto the keyword and saying like, what are the different variables? So you'll see here that they've got, a lot of different keywords here, a lot of different keywords here. They've made it all very unique by adding in perf into each single one, which is really, really powerful. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that they've also then got, for every state, imagine California, all the cities within that. So you'd have like a page for like Los Angeles, a page for Malibu or whatever. And then you would have within that maybe even specific areas like Santa Monica, to get incredibly specific so that your sitemap becomes gigantic essentially. And this is something that we're going to be looking into is like how do we create layers of location pages so that we cover like the whole gamma basically of locations. It's not just New York, it's Brooklyn, it's New Jersey, it's the Lower East Side. It's every single variation you can imagine of the city. And I think that the advice that he gave, which was super powerful, was that you need to make sure that any text you're writing about that particular area is as unique as possible. So I think one thing that's weak right now about our page is we've just basically kind of copied and pasted information from Wikipedia about that particular city, but it's not relevant to interior designers. I mean, it's relevant about the city. It probably does get some sort of like SEO traction from Google, but what's actually more powerful is creating, a lot of text like this for each city, which is, it explains about that service in the city and it has user intent. And I'm trying to find, just give me 2 seconds, I will find a great example which was sent to me. And perfect, here it is. So this was an example sent to me of a company that did a great job in that. And as you can see, this is a lawn care company, and this page is specifically trying to target Houston. So using CMS Collections and Webflow, you could create something like this very simply. So they've got a kind of template at the top here. You see this doesn't really change. The quote is basically unique, so that's probably like a CMS collection field. They've added in the best lawn care services with another CMS collection field. And then what they've done is they've decided to create, pretty valuable content, which is about the actual service you're providing or the actual user intent, but making sure that the city is embedded throughout it. So Houston lawn care provider, Houston, and this is a template probably, like they're probably using this across multiple different pages. And the feedback given was that it doesn't actually, I was always worried about unique content, making sure that every single page had unique text, but apparently it doesn't actually matter as much as I thought. And what's important is that you need to tier your geographical markets into low, medium, and high competition. And for the low and medium competition, and what I mean by that is if you think about, the middle of like Kansas, whatever, there are like small cities in there which are probably, in terms of Google's eyes, low competition because there's not many people that live there. It's not that expensive to advertise to. But if you compare that to, say, New York or Los Angeles, those are high competition. So for those high competition ones, you do need to be more careful in making sure that you've got great unique content per landing page. But for the smaller cities, for the kind of like less competitive ones, apparently it's not actually, you won't be penalized by Google for kind of creating these more generic pieces of text where you embed basically the city name. And as you can see, this is very cool as well. So specific facts about lawn care in Houston. How often should I mow my lawn? Like, this is really cool because it's kind of like tricking Google to be like, wow, this is like the most relevant page I've ever seen about Houston lawn care. and some internal links here as well for interlinking. And again, it's actually also what I like about this page is that it's actually really beautiful still. It doesn't feel like it's like an over the top SEO crazy page. It actually feels very, and you can see the out of the map here. It actually feels really nice for the user as well. So you're kind of like getting a good user experience and a good SEO experience, because I think one thing that's really bad about our experience is you jump to the bottom, you're like, why the hell is there like some Wikipedia text about Seattle? That could create a bounce, right? Like, why do we need that? But if we had something very beautiful, which was like office designs in Seattle, where we had examples of famous buildings, famous companies that worked in Seattle, and then unfortunately, this is where you just have to spend a lot of time in your content and making sure that you really invest in it. If you do want to become like the number one page in that city, you've got to invest in the copy. But I think the key learnings that I got from this was tier your cities high, medium, and low. For example, the top 10 cities, you really focus on creating unique copy, five or 600 words. And then for those medium and lower tier ones, maybe over time you build unique copy, but for the time being, just create some killer kind of like killer template like this, and then insert your city names into it. So that's something that we're going to be working on, is creating that amazing copy where we can insert the different names using this incredible tool, which is the CMS Collections, and I can just show how many fields that we have for our CMS Collections and how powerful it can be. The map address, the zip codes we have. Like, there's a ton of information you can add into this to make your copy very, very unique. So that's it. And one thing I'd also say about Webflow is that just page speed and mobile friendliness has been a huge uplift for us. So moving from WordPress onto Webflow gave us a lot of speed increase. It also just meant that all of our pages were mobile responsive, which again for SEO is really important. So you can just click this button here and you'll see that it's all mobile friendly, which Google loves, and that has a huge impact on SEO. So thanks everyone, and see you again soon.